the framework we developed for mental resilience, and also gave you some ideas of what we call centering and some of the tools we can use to center ourselves. Now, my job is to tell you about the 3 Ps we developed. 3 Ps: pattern work, problem work, and process work. Now, this is work. This means you work mentally, work at your mental state and your psychological state to give mental resilience. And of course, when you are shaken, you are thrown off balance, these tools will at the same time get you on balance again. So first, I would like to talk to you about pattern work. Now, patterns of our life. Now, many things happen to us, events, good, bad, and so forth, but we all take it as stories within ourselves. There are good stories, bad stories, small stories, big stories, stories we tell to ourselves, stories we tell to others, and often stories we self-talk to ourselves, so that our behavior, our thinking, our thoughts, so forth, are actually reflections of all these stories. Now, how did this all come about, you may ask? And this is like any other story. So first, you must have events that unfold. And of course, we talk about salient events, things which strike, not normal eating or sleeping, but things that happen, okay, relation to others. And it happen over time. And then, of course, there must be employment. You employ to convey, there must be meaning, motive, causality. So it's a theme in it. So stories are, of course, linked to your life space of you. And if I ask any of you here, come up here and tell me, okay, tell me in 3 lines your life story. Just 3 lines, no? Of course, you tell the story to suit the audience. Now, if I ask you to tell the story to somebody else, you'll be telling me a different story, and so forth. So actually, we have many, many stories. But actually, what are these stories that, what are these various stories that are important to us? Okay, now this slide. Well, actually, it's a very bad slide. Very busy slide. You can't convey that, but it's meant to be. Yeah, I purposely did this way because life is very perplexing, confusing, and we have many, many things happen in our life, many life events, positive, dark ones, and so forth. And often we think that life, oh, this part is very good. I was very happy, this part of life, and now I'm very sad. But actually, if you think about it, it's not true. Now, Rick Warren, the famous author who wrote The Purpose-Driven Life, he just said recently that, life is not like hills and valleys. He believes it's kind of like, well, 2 rails on a railway track. Good things, bad things happen all the time, is how we look at it. So, as if good and bad things, and we take them on as stories. But then you may ask me, why are there 3 flashing things below? Why are dark holes so prominent, why does catch our attention? Well, you may say that, it may be evolutionary protective. You may say that, okay, the burnt child dreads the fire. We have to learn to protect ourselves, and therefore we have to learn from it. But often so, we have learned too well, and the pain and all the sadness is also ingrained in us that that becomes a dominant story, and it becomes our what we call a problem-saturated story. And something happened, and it links, and there's a theme, and it goes on. And we tell ourselves, well, that is us, that's our life. We meet with each of us. Definitely, we have met with some problems of life. And maybe was it some lost love, or lost opportunity, or lost whatever it is. But then we allow this sort of stories to rule us. And they define not only our present, but our future. And sometimes we can talk about some things that happened 30, 40 years ago and feel it as it has happened today or yesterday. And that's a problem many people are facing. So how do we handle it? Now, stories. So if a story, we can actually look at it and rescale the events. Is it really that black? Is it gray? Is it nothing at all? Then we can reconstruct the links. Is this really linked to this? Is this the same magnitude? Is it the same story? Or is it a different story? Maybe little small bad stories, but they are not linked, no? So don't confuse them. And so we now begin to demolish the PSS, problem-saturated story. And this is an exercise that we sometimes must do. Of course, you can get the help of trained people, counselors, and so forth. And when we, same time we demolish the stories, the PSS, we should look for stars. Actually, there are a lot of stars in our life. It's only that we don't see it at the time. Well, you may say that, well, I should have married that girl. She was so nice to me, but I didn't consider her because I was too caught up with lost love. I was pining away. But you say it, remember it and find stars, not from a point of regret, but from a point of learning. We learn as we go along to say that, okay, well, that's it. That's a preferred story. My preferred story is that I'm not that out of sorts, but then I'll learn. And from now on, I will not do that. Let it hit me again. And another thing, of course, you can create stars. Each of us can create stars, whatever it is, every day. And here are a few points that tell you how to create stars. Okay, number one, well, write down, good things happen today. Maybe this talk is one. Tonight, rejoice in it, okay? Secondly, gratitude, visit, and thanksgiving. Well, thank your son, your children, your spouse for something that they have done for you today. Say it today, that's all. Simple. Or thank a colleague for whatever it is. Positive responding. Now, maybe we are Asians, but we are very, reticent. Be visible about it. Go back this afternoon, and if you're in a serve tea, thank you, Asso, or your tea lady, by name, so-and-so, for giving me, preparing, as usual, very good tea, or something like that. Positive responding. And, of course, the other things are remember your strength. You may have not a strength now, you maybe with a spa, but at least remember what you have had, and now use it in a different way. You may not be able to use the same way because your time goes, it's changed, but don't pine about it. The problem with it is that people say, oh, I used to be able to do that, and I can't, so they get depression and they feel angry. Well, you can't do that. You can't, you got paralyzed and you lost your use of your left hand, but you're right-handed. Why don't you use the strength you had? You were a good painter. Why don't you paint now? You can't run, obviously, because you got a stroke. So use it in a new way. And this is empirically proven. They have done a lot of studies, and they show that simple things, just teaching people simple things, you will create a mental resilience. And this takes small and concrete steps. Just do it. Just do it. And relive the preferred story. The story you prefer, not written for you. So with all these materials, then we come to the 4 R's. The 4 R's, remember the 4 R's of creating stories, okay, of the pattern work. First R is authoring. Now we want to re-author the story, your preferred story, for many stories you have. Of course you have many stories, but you want that preferred story. And you do it with authority, because you are the only one who can create a story for yourself. You are the author, and you have the authority. Same thing like what this famous doctor, Sir William Osler, did. He's creating therapeutic stories with this child, and what she's doing is he's using these dolls to externalize the black holes, meaning that take it out, take all the dark holes, your qualms and your whatever it is out, and let it see light, and let's talk about it, and let's think about it, and so forth, and examine it. And maybe it's not so black, so dark or so black now anymore. It may be dark or black at that time, 30 years ago, but it's not now. And the trouble is that mind can't tell the difference if you keep if you're doing the self. Of course, we identify overlooked stars, and then we find some theme, and then celebrate the story. So this is reauthoring. Next thing is members of your club of life. Remembering. Okay? Remember to remember. Okay? So you identify things which create trouble for you, whether people or things or whatever it is, or things that, and somehow still affecting you. So you have to examine, how is it continues to enslave you? How is it still has such an impact on you? Why does it still make you feel bad? And then, of course, you have to move to remove that member from the club of life, sack the member, expel the member, remove even if it's life member, just remove him. And then, of course, we have to remember. There are so many people around which are deserving members of the club of life. Why not make them your club of life now? And not think of the old member who used to be important, but I think you just remove them. If you think of it that way, you may say it's very simplistic, but I think if you think of it that way, you probably can create the story for yourself. And lastly, reframing. Now, this George Lakoff is a professor of linguistics from the University of California at Berkeley. He wrote in a book, Metaphors We Live By, he says that metaphor is not an ornamental flourish of language, but an essential part of thought. So we think with metaphors. And the ordinary conceptual system of which we both think and act is fundamentally metaphorical in nature. One of my clients, a student, he was in total distress. He was asunder. The parents were was in the verge of divorce, and she couldn't do her schoolwork. She was failing, and so forth. And after talking to her, I found out that some of her problems were because she thought of herself as the glue of the family. She says, "I am the glue. I have to keep the family together. Otherwise, my parents will divorce, and I won't have a family anymore." She says it's the glue. And because it's the glue, she got enmeshed and she got tied up and she couldn't do anything else. So I helped her to change her metaphor from glue to oil. Oil. Oil, you can lubricate your wheels of social interaction in the family. Oil. But if the oil is not around and if things break, then it's not your fault. It's not the fault of the glue. If you think of the glue, it breaks, it's you. The glue failed. So it's very important what metaphors, and we can reframe the metaphor. And if you look at this picture there, this is called a bistable picture. Psychologists use it a lot. So what do you see? Okay, look at the white part, the white things. Okay, you see a vase, right? But now I want you to focus on the black part. What do you see? Silhouette of two persons. And if you are trained, you can flip both back and forth. So you have to train ourselves to flip back and forth and see situation, themes from various perspectives. And then we choose the preferred one. The one you prefer, not what is right or wrong, what you prefer. Okay, so this is reframing. And after we reframe, that means three P's, we reauthor, remember, and reframe. And after doing that, we must retell, we must make it live. So tell, retell, storytelling, story listening, story retelling, story listening, story thickening. And because we retell, not just by words, by the way, by actions, by emotions, and you tell yourself, self-talk, you tell your friends, and not only that, you can create ceremonies to retell. They call it, in the social anthropologists, they call it definitional ceremony. Okay? And you gain sense of meaning, identity, and pride by retelling the preferred story. So can we each have our preferred story? And can we collectively as NUS have a preferred story? So this is very important. So retell, the reauthored, remembered and reframed story. Okay, that's pattern work. Next, I move on to problem work. Now, okay, problem work, you see situation, the first block, situation, and often a situation triggers things in us, whether it's a consequence of emotions, behavior, or thoughts. But actually, in between, there's a mind. But sometimes you're not aware of it. We see those. So I'll give you an example. So this morning, I walked into my office, and I was very happy because I'm giving this talk, right? I saw my boss. I said, "Good morning." And guess what? He just walked past me. And it was in front of everybody, you know. And how did I feel? I felt insulted. I feel angry. I feel, you know. And this is it. It's not a thought in me. I didn't think that I felt, but I felt, okay? I feel these emotions. So how did it come about? So what was inside my mind? So I reflect. What's the problems? What are the problems? So, well, I thought maybe he's trying to put me down. He's trying to belittle me because he doesn't like me, whatever it is. So I thought so. And that's why maybe that's why I felt very bad. And then you examine it. That's your thought. What are the evidence for saying that he doesn't like me and he's trying to belittle me? Well, I believe it's true. Because 3 weeks ago, we were supposed to choose someone to go to Mexico City, you know. And he didn't choose me. He chose a junior person, you know. So I thought he didn't value me as a faculty member. So he chose him. So the guy is now in Mexico City. Okay. Well, okay, but what is it? Why is it? Maybe it's not true. Cannot be true that he thinks poorly of me. Well, I saw him. There, he's there. Well, he's there. So he comes to listen to me. So he must be okay, right? So which means that the thing is not so true, not true, or maybe some element of truth. So actually, my bad feeling was for nothing. Okay. So the question is then, I now examine the. Okay, what are the other explanations? What are the alternative explanations? Why did he respond to me? Okay, there may be many alternative explanations, nothing to do with me. It could be he was engrossed in thinking about something, but someone whispered to me, maybe he quarreled with his wife last night. Okay, all possible, right? But why did I have to think that he is having anything to do with me? Okay, and that link that 3 weeks, the death posting to now. So then, of course, we have to think of outcome scenarios. That means if you think like this always, what will happen? If I keep on thinking, every time he comes, talk to him and so forth, you think like, then of course I can't create good relations with him, right? And things will just roll down. So therefore, I think what I'll do is that I think I'll go and thank him for coming to talk after. So this is positive work. So this is problem work. Okay, so these are how we use problem work, and actually this is actually CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay, this is problem work. So lastly, the third one is process work. Psychological process that's going on in your mind. Okay, that can be done in many ways, but I'll be simple about it. Okay, I'm very simple. So I just talk about what I call mindfulness and managing polarities. Okay, all you can understand. Mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It's ability to focus our attention on the here and the now. Here and now. Free from the past and free from anxiety for the future. Now you may say, oh, easy. Actually, it's very difficult because we are funny creatures. We always think of the past. We always think about what's going to happen and this and is and so forth. And because we think that that's protective, we must survive, therefore we have to know and so forth. But actually it's too much. We found that, and that's create problem. Someone said that if you have to give a percentage, maybe 75% must be in the present and so forth. The rest in the past and the future. Because if you are not mindful of the present, you miss a lot of things in life. You can't be centered. You're so, how much more I have to live, and I'm worried I will die in 1 year's time. I'm so worried that every day I worry and I do nothing. But what are you doing now? Why are you going to spend the last 1 year on this earth? How are you going to relate to them? So that is the problem. But it's very hard to get rid of it, and therefore you need work, you need practice. So how do we do it? Of course, we all know the steps. You know it. It's movement, breathing exercise, Tai Chi, and many movement therapies along. Okay? And there's balance. Now, balance is more difficult than movement, especially mental balance. Stillness and anchoring your mind, okay, difficult, but it's not impossible, but it's difficult. You have to practice at it. And of course, engagement in work, something you're very passionate with, you lose time, you flow, and you feel good after that. And this is actually mindfulness. Nothing exoteric, nothing, okay? We just have to be very simple about it. So mindfulness. The other one is managing polarities. Now, okay, we know ourselves, okay, visible self, we know ourselves, we know what we are, we know, okay, I know that I'm a kind person, I'm a generous person, but actually, maybe you don't know, but I know that I have actually a different side, polar side, a very mean person, a very cruel person, I do know that. And it's very important for you to understand, and to manage and to own it. You can say that is part of me. Okay, then then you are a whole person. Then you can able to manage adversity better. Okay, so I give you an example. I want you to listen carefully to me. No tricks. Listen carefully. Okay, I'm going to ask you a simple question, and if you agree to this question, you say yes, then you just put up a hand. Okay, a hand. And don't worry, I can see you. Your neighbors can't see you unless you look around. Okay, so please remember, simple question. Is yes, you put a hand. If no, of course you can. So I'm going to pop this question to you. Wow, very polite company, NUS. Not a single hand. Not a single one. Okay, maybe I reframe the question. Okay, reframe the question. Have you ever committed adultery in your mind or in your heart? Oh, okay, honest person. Three, come, let's clap. We have three some honest persons here, correct? In your mind or in your heart. So if you know it, okay, you admit to yourself, then you are more resilient. But, well, you're in good company. You're in the company of the greats. This peanut farmer, also like you. Okay. But he forgives himself. He owns himself. He owns it. He forgives himself. Okay. He agree. Okay. I'm able, but it's okay. I don't. Of course, I don't think he did it. But look at his this illustrious successor. He's impossible. He can't do it. It's not part of him. All right. So I'm saying that, well, whatever reason, and this man, when challenged, he took high risk. He took great risk. He knows the great risk, and he somehow something addicted to this high risk. Well, and the rest is history, okay. So managing polarities is important, okay. Otherwise, you'll be like this what I call iceberg theory. Suddenly things shift. People going berserk. They may be a preacher or something. Suddenly they meet they go and do something you're totally ashamed of. So in us, it's okay to talk about it, especially yourself, to people you can trust and so forth, and to own it, okay? To own it, okay? At least we have, I know a few honest people here. And so in summary, mental resilience tools, very simple. Just remember 3 P's, okay? Patterns. You have to demolish your PSS, problem, situation, story, and you do the 4 R's. To preferred story, reauthor, remember your club of life, reframe, and retell. To create your own story, to make a thick story. Okay, those of you who are English lecturers so far will know that you have to write a novel, you have to do it that way. That's why novels are so thick. And not so. And secondly, problem. Know yourself, know your negative automatic thoughts or habitual thoughts, and then I taught you how. This is called thought testing, how to replace it with positive thoughts. How to go through your mind so that you can go through again and you can defeat it in your own mind. And thirdly, process work, psychological process in the mind. Mindfulness and how to own and accept polarities. And all these 3 is to center yourself, okay, so that you won't be shaken. Okay, with that, thank you all for your attention.